The Shark Deck.
Hello and welcome to Palace Intrigue. I am your host, Mark Francis. Royal commentator Richard Fitzwilliams had a theory on Harry's sudden appearance in the UK this week. The problem with this appearance is that it's a surprise appearance, and the Sussexes do like to surprise. They are always unpredictable and nobody expected this. There is little doubt Harry is attaching his name to a list which is very distinguished, but equally it was an opportunity for him to appear on the privacy area where the Sussexes feel very strongly. He added that it was clearly not coordinated with his father, as Charles had been scheduled to be out of the country. It's very hard to see what he and the King would have to say to each other, because can you trust saying anything sensitive when it might very well appear in a book or article? The Prince and Princess of Wales are also on holiday, apparently with their children. Author Ingrid Seward agreed any ordinary father would expect to see their son when he paid a rare visit to the UK from abroad. But Charles is not an ordinary father. He is king, and such his appointments every 20 minutes of his day. In between, he has letters to sign, state documents to read, and meetings to attend. When the state visit to France was cancelled, his diary was immediately filled with urgent pending issues. Being king is not a part-time post. Neither is being a father, but Charles has little reason to want a confrontation with Harry after his disloyalty to his family in his book Spare. Maybe Harry had no desire to see his father either. Charles and Camilla were due to be out of the country when he arrived in the UK. Harry would have never envisaged something as politically sensitive as a state visit being postponed. Harry is not quite as brave as he makes out he is. However much noise he might have made about wanting a discussion, being ushered into Clarence House to meet with an irate and disappointed father was almost certainly not on his agenda. Author Sally Beadle-Smith commented on Harry's suggestion that some royals feed the press. They have to deal with the reporters, and they have to have a good relationship with them. I've been on trips and watched how it works, and there's a lot of give and take. Many of the reporters that Harry has derided are very good reporters. They check their sources. They don't rush into print. So, I think Harry and Meghan should just at some point back off. Obviously, these cases will be resolved in one way or another, but I don't think Harry and Meghan are doing themselves any favours by constantly battling with the British media. Yahoo took a look at the ever-increasingly political Prince William. They remind us Queen Elizabeth was strict about enforcing the royal protocol that the palace stays far away from politics. William recently dined at a LGBTQ+ restaurant in Warsaw. A Kensington Palace spokesperson commented, "It was important for the Prince to travel to Poland, to not only recognise the duty of our troops, but also to shine a light on the ongoing humanitarian crisis. This is a continuation of the evolution of his role as global statesman. We talk about him using his global platform for the good of the environment via Earthshot, but this is the first opportunity for him to take a visit of this kind as Prince of Wales, and given that it is one of the biggest political issues facing every country on the planet, this is a demonstration of him growing as a statesman-like figure." Palace Intrigue will be right back.
When you save on auto insurance for driving safe with USAA Safe Pilot, you'll feel like a big deal, even in a traffic jam. Save up to 30% with USAA Safe Pilot. Restrictions apply.
I'm Nina Hobson, ex-police detective from the UK. I've worked on every crime mentionable, from murder to kidnap to stalking to fraud. When I left the force, I launched my own investigations firm that soon became a global operation. I'm also a single mother of two, to two members of my team, my son Harrison and daughter Amy. Every week, we'll be getting first-hand accounts from psychological experts, operatives, former criminals, actual victims of the crimes that we investigate, and of course, my very own flesh and blood. From Storic Media, you're listening to Codename Siren, a true crime podcast. Available on YouTube and all major podcast platforms.
Another review of our podcast left on Apple Podcasts, a 2-star review from Oz Potter, who writes, "Bring on the Republic. I find your podcasts amazing, but can only listen to less than half. Seriously, it can't be true, all this ridiculousness. I live in Australia. Your podcast only deepens my belief that Australia needs to become a republic and distance ourselves from this elitist group." 2 stars. Congratulations to King Charles, who is now Colonel-in-Chief of the Corps of Royal Engineers, commonly known as the Sappers. The Corps was founded in 1716 and gained the prefix Royal in 1787. They operate at the forefront of innovation to provide global military engineering and technical support to the British Armed Forces and their allies. The previous Colonel-in-Chief was Queen Elizabeth. The New York Times took a long look at some King Charles impersonators, including Charles Hazlitt, who has spent more than $6,200 getting myself to be more king-like than I was, he said. That involved buying a made-to-order toupee of grey hair, as well as 2 double-breasted suits and a gold signet ring in the same style as the one worn by the new monarch, King Charles III. Mr. Hazlitt has also ordered modelling clay to make his ears stick out just like the king's. Guy Ingle, another longtime Charles impersonator, said he used to play second fiddle to Queen Elizabeth lookalikes, standing in the background at events. Ingle said none of these queens had any talent. It was very frustrating. As you settle in for another episode of HBO's Succession tonight, Brian Cox, who portrays the patriarch of a family whose children are always squabbling, once again has commented on the monarchy, telling the Radio Times, "They're the product of an institution which is moribund and shouldn't exist anymore. But that's a difficult situation where Meghan comes from, and it's understandable that she sees something, and it does look like a fairy tale, but it was a fairy tale that went horribly wrong." Cox had been previously quoted as saying, she knew what she was getting into. He added, "In my opinion, we shouldn't have a monarchy. It's not viable. It doesn't make any sense. F it. Move on." And there you have it. If you'd like to email us, our address is thepalaceintrigue@gmail.com. Follow us on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, or wherever you get your favourite shows. I'm Mark Francis. My thanks to John McDermott. This is Palace Intrigue. Good times.